This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while seeing right through red herrings and needing Leo's book. Hi, HBs. You're back for part 2. I love it. If you haven't listened to part 1, it is pretty crucial, so pause this, go back to that, and then you can come here for the stunning conclusion. If you're so inclined, there are so many ways you can support the podcast. You can follow us on social media and get chatty in the comments. We are now on Blue Sky. You can rate and review on whatever app you listen to and benefit from our 5-star bribe. And you can join our Patreon community. For just $5 a month, you can get anything from same-day and ad-free episodes, invitations to our live events, and all of our bonus content. For a few more dollars, you can mix and match. This week, our bonus content is going to be Sabrina and I talking about the first book in this series, Eternal Pleasure. That's all about Ty and Kelly, and there's werewolf shenanigans. Right now, I have some amazing patrons to shout out. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Jessica P., Emily K., Ruth D., Lisa N., Meredith A., and Erica M. Today, we're back for part 2. When we left off, Jenna had just schooled Al in the ways of modern sexy times, and they had thoroughly despoiled those custom sheets. That's where we're jumping into the final part of our recap of Eternal Craving by Nina Bangs. Yeah, so now Leah shows up because her dad wants her to experience being human before she can turn vampire to then be vampire queen of the Northeast. So she sits down with Leah and she's like, okay, so just like sum it up for me real quick, like human emotion and like, you know, like hopes and dreams or whatever. And then like we'll go do our nails and then I will have fulfilled the brief for my dad. Yeah. And then I can become a vampire. And Jenna's like, wow, you think humans are super shallow. And she's like, no, it's just that, like, I have to work so hard to be the best in order to get even a modicum of respect
from, like, actual
from
freaking
these
vampires.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm still human.
Well, also because her mom, Catherine, was a bitch.
Yeah, her mom was awful.
Epic order.
Awful mom.
Like, oh, because like she was essentially an accident child with a human. And so she's basically been like, oh, God, I can't believe that my kid is a human. Like, what a fucking God.
Yeah, hide
we can't
her
do
away.
anything with her until she's like 25 and we can
sire her or whatever.
Turn her into a vampire too and like, ugh, gross human. Oh, what an asshole.
Well, someone's the one who probably didn't like use protection. I feel like that's on you, Catherine. You should have like planned ahead, but okay. But yeah, she treats Leah terribly because obviously Leah is not a vampire yet, and she doesn't like human. It's a bad relationship. It's a bad mom. There's a lot of bad parents, but Catherine's pretty
Sure.
crappy.
Yeah, so they're going to go shopping is what they're going to do. And they sneak out because Al and both raptors are out doing a mole lead. They're trying to figure out who the mole is, which is hilarious because the gals run into the mole in the lobby of the building. And he's like, oh, no, you need a driver. You can't go anywhere by yourselves. So they just like hop into the mole's car. He gasses
And they know
them
there's
out.
a mole. They've been told to look for it. So just like someone being super overly helpful should be like a bellwether of like, wait a minute.
Yeah. But he's Finn's driver.
Okay.
So you'd think that Finn would know or something.
It was super
because he can read
obvious.
minds.
Well,
I had no idea that they were about to. I wasn't shocked when he pulled out the gas.
right?
I do. After reading 2 books, though, I'm wondering if this is like part of the formula for her books, because in the last book, Kelly also got kidnapped by a mole in Jude's organization. She was a vampire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, I
Lots
guess
of
the
moles.
final book has a mole as well. It's a little more complicated as
Okay.
a mole, but there's definitely a mole plot. There's a lot of mole plots.
All
I
right,
cannot
fair
remember book
enough.
3 enough to remember who the mole would have been there, but book 4 definitely has a mole. So it's just at least 3 out of 4
Yeah.
moles.
And I
Okay.
totally knew who that first mole was too. That didn't come out of left
It
field.
did. Like in the first book, listeners, the mole is someone in Jude's organization. It's a vampire. I think she has like 2 scenes, if that, and like 3 whole lines in
Yeah.
the book before she like takes Kelly. And you're like, well, I could have
She's
seen
always
that.
waving at them
Yeah.
from across the room.
It's just, I think she's redheaded. I can't remember for sure, but like you barely remember
Yeah.
her, and you're like, oh, it was you. It's kind of like going to the bank and having like some rando and like the line next to you all of a sudden be like the serial killer or the bank robber. You're like, well, sure, I didn't see that coming, but you basically blend in like wallpaper, so that's not really a surprise.
You honestly just made me feel so much better, Margaret.
Oh, okay.
You made me feel so much better about all of this because, like, after finding out, I was like, man, I feel like I should have known who the mole was in both.
But
of
it's like
these
kind of a
books,
cheat
but-
if it's basically a character who maybe has a name and like has like a line, and they were maybe in a scene that's a group scene, so they blend in with like 4 other people,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like being so unpredictable that it's not even like foreshadowed kind of thing. Like, I don't know if you ever
Mhm.
saw the reboot of Pretty Little Liars or like the spin-off series, whatever, the Pretty Little Liars original sin, but spoilers. In the first season, I'm not going to say who, but the person who turns out to be sort of controlling and leading the serial killer around town, they're a person who you meet in like 3 scenes out of like 10 episodes. And you're like, well, okay, I guess I could have
Oh.
guessed this person, but they're barely in this season, and you don't win by essentially just like shelving them till they show up. But okay.
Yeah.
So like definitely, especially in book 1,
yeah.
the vampire feels Kelly. It feels like, well, you were there, but were you? I mean, you were barely a character, so I guess I was fooled.
Mhm.
So Finn's
So
driver.
what I'm hearing is there's no in between. It's either you red herring into the
Yeah.
sun or you fridge them until you need
Yeah,
them.
because book 4's
we've just
mole
forgotten they
is
exist.
definitely so red herring by like 20% of the book, and it was like, I get it, it's this person, we get it, like, you know. And so when about 60% in, you're like, oh wow, saw that coming. Thanks for catching up with us. So yeah, there's no in
Mhm.
between. There's either barely on the page or all the red herrings.
Love it.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Love it. So he ends up taking them to the Museum of Natural History.
You knew that
or
was going to
something
happen. Like
that.
you're going to go to the place. I think it had to be the art museum because of the Rocky Steps, right? It's the
Yeah,
art
sure,
museum. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, the art museum. It's a museum in Philadelphia. It's real famous.
Yes, super famous.
And there's a Diana statue that is going to be just destroyed at the end of this
Yeah.
section. But they wake up and it's Stake and a bunch of his workers and a statue of an unseelie Prince Fey boy. Because, like, I guess 8 has just, like, immobilized him so that he can't do anything. And Leah and she wake up and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to be over here sketching,
Painting.
gore. Paint some gore. I don't
It's
know.
not even
Whatever you
gore.
want to do.
It's like completely bloodless bodies that some vampires did a very good job of sucking the
Is that
draining
what it is?
dry. Yeah, like they're
Fair enough.
because they are completely bloodless. There's absolutely no gore. The point is that the bodies have no blood anywhere and they're just
Oh, okay.
corpses. And he has them arranged on the ground to write out 2012 and the
Oh
my
way that
God.
they're laying on the background, which had me cackling. And then he like pulls out his iPod and he's like getting it set up. And he's like, yeah, y'all just hang out for a second. I'll deal with you in a minute.
I gotta draw.
There's no way that anyone's going to find us at all.
In one of the most famous tourist destinations in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, I guessed that this was happening in this place, even I should have, frankly, because it was accurate.
It was talked about at the beginning of the book, being like, let's go run up the Rocky steps. And Al being like, you're a child. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, because like everybody knows their steps.
But jokes, there's totally a way for them to figure out where they are. And they do. And Al is really upset that his mate, he has that thought, my mate.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, wait,
starting.
Where did that come from?
You're ready, man.
Yeah. And so he's like, we got to go save her. And Leah, meanwhile, are scheming how to escape. And one of those things is like, we should maybe see if we can unfreeze that unseelie prince, and like maybe then it'll go well.
It'll be our bud.
But then everybody shows up, including but not limited to these random ass 5 vampires who are sort of like the Volturi of this time period. And apparently ages ago, the Unseelie took out their whole clan, and so they've got a big bone to pick. So in the middle of this fight, she's stolen the Unseelie prince's sword to be like, am human with a giant stick, ?
Yeah.
Don't even think about it. And the dinosaurs are like chomping all over the place, and everybody's fighting. And then these 5 vampires come over to get this, defenseless Fey prince. And she's like, at least have some sportsmanship about this. Like, I can't let you kill, I don't care what he's done. I can't let you kill a defenseless being. And they're like, get out of the way, little woman. Like, you've got a sword, but you don't even have a man to hold it.
Right?
Which was hilarious. And then Seer shows up, and Seer's like, hey, girl, you want me to help you with this prince? And she's like, yeah. And then he disappears, and she's like, fuck, everybody's fucking abandoning me. And she stands in front of the prince, but then Seer materializes, and Prince is back to normal times. So he takes her sword and, defends himself, ? And then he looks at her, and he says, I'll remember, woman. And then he's gone. And then Seer picks her up, and he's like, you need to be fridged real quick. So he bounds up the stairs.
He hides her.
He hides her in, like, the Japanese tea room, which is not sturdy enough for what's going to come about in a few minutes. Oh, and then Finn is there because he's psychically battling Zero. It's hilarious to me that he and Zero are always fighting. But it's always psychically, and he
I think it's a way that takes
this,
like
like,
both
throwaway
off
comment.
the board, because like basically they could like undo one side with like a thought if they were undistracted. So it's like weird to have 2 essentially cosmic tier beings in the book, because they spend so much time basically mentally like disturbing each other, essentially long distance giving each other freaking migraines that they're kind of non-factors in most of the time. It's just like, okay, I get that you don't like someone
to curb
It's a way to take
stomp, Captain Marvel off the board.
Essentially. But you're like, but you wrote Captain Marvel in there to begin with. So people keep going, well, where's the God tier character? You know what I mean? It's both.
Yes.
Like, you made that choice to have the God tier character, but then you have to spend 4 books sidelining them with headaches for each other. So it's choices.
Yeah.
Well, it's also hilarious because after every time they fight with each other, Finn looks like a drowned rat by the end of it.
He feels awful. He needs his migraine meds. Literally, he's just like a mess.
Yeah. His eyes don't have a fleck of silver in them when he's done with Zero. Yeah. It's so sad. Yeah. But also, he's like, I mean, we can't destroy each other. So, like, why would we physically fight? And I'm like, why are these other immortals fighting then? Because, like, technically, they're, I don't know, whatever. It's fine. They can technically be killed with decapitations or whatever. It's fine. Anyway, so the big fight happens. It's over. Diana is kersplooted all over the stairs. And then she's like, I really want to go see if Al is okay. Meanwhile, for the first time in his life, Al wants to leave the fight, leave the carnage, in order to make sure Jenna's okay. And Finn has to be like, hey, no, really need you, though. Yeah. Like, you're a pivotal part of this success story.
We need you as part of the
team.
At it. Yeah.
If you, you're a valued member of the team. Please stay.
Giving you the boss talk. Yeah.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
And then once it's over, he like goes upstairs looking for her. And without even saying a word, he just starts stripping in this Japanese tea room.
He starts stripping behind one of the what are they called?
The screens.
Yeah,
the screens. Yeah, no,
and he's like backlit, and he's like she can see him get. Then he just comes around the screen, and she looks at him, and she's like, "Wow, what a sexy virile man! And look at those ball sacks.
Look at those balls."
Yeah, no, she did that in the first book too.
Just his balls.
The first one, Kelly is very obsessed with Ty's balls. So I don't know, read into that what
those
you want.
Big swinging clappers.
Yeah, no, it's the balls. The balls get her every time. Like in the first two books,
that's how it's got to be.
Those descriptions
but
are
then
like balls.
He says the most relatable thing in the whole wide world, which is, "Oh, good. There's a lot of greenery in here. The best place to fuck."
Okay.
And she's like, "What?"
Well, I mean, it's better than like a beach because let's be honest, sand gets everywhere. Like
that's true.
It is coarse.
That's true.
It gets everywhere.
But he's like, "My soul just wants to take you off to a dark fern gully so I can dick you down in
sorry, as a 90s
sort of
kid, I'm like, no, don't sully fern gully. That's no good. That's no good.
Oh my god. So then, super importantly, though, as she's watching, as she's watching him walk towards her, she realizes, looking in his eyes, that this is not Al. This is the Allosaurus coming towards her right now.
Like, she is fucking driving the driver's seat.
Yes. And she's like, and I accept that too. And then
and I love that too. Yeah.
Because like this is the point where she accepts that, and she's starting to think to herself before he even gets there, she's like, she almost thinks to herself like, I'm in love with him. And then she's like, wait, is that true though? What is my checklist for being in love with somebody? Right. And she starts going through it, and it was very relatable that she had like a checklist. She was like, I'm not allowed if not for that. But then she keeps making like allowances because she's like, shared interests. We both want to save the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, this fits in that. And she's like slotting things. She's like me into
she's doing a reading embrace.
She's
doing the reading embrace.
Yeah. Oh my god. But it's
what she's doing.
Fuck the dinosaur embrace and
yes.
love him for life. Also,
make the categories anything you want to make it work.
She's been warned also at this point by Finn about what will come when
the walk
the
through
ceremony.
the soul, how terrifying it is, blah 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 blah.
And so she's like, would I be willing to do that? And the biggest thing, she was like, and would I like, I'd never thought about it before the end of the world was here, but would I die for him? And then she realizes that she would, because she did take that pointy stick. And while he was dinoing out, she did go kill a werewolf that was trying to bite his ankles.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So then he picks her up like a little doll and is like, doing sexy things, and then once they're
breaking down bamboo walls.
He's like, this wall is not well made.
No, it was decorative,
like,
guys. It was decorative. Now it's just not. Now it's just rubble.
Yeah, a pile of broken sticks.
Is there
what that
a single
is.
museum that makes it out of this end of the world thing? Like,
no, absolutely not.
So then they end up going and doing like Bell research. We also have I didn't really register in the first book that apparently Gig is a like is
He's
terrifying.
a Gigantosaurus.
Yeah, he's
but
the
like
biggest one, right?
no, it's not even like just him being a scary big dinosaur. Like he himself as a
He's the
human-
Terminator.
Yeah.
yeah, he's scary.
Yeah.
I love him.
Except when he's like, hey, when you're done with Al and you want to play with the real big boys, you let me know.
No, pass. She's without, man. Just get your own.
Pass.
Get your
Sometimes
own.
things are too big. Thank you so much.
He will not get his own, but, he needs to someday.
Aw,
Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
Gig.
So they're doing Belle research, and because she gets saved, they go back to the thing, and she's Googling bells, and she's like, man, but numbers are real big. Obviously, it's not going to be the Liberty Bell. So, like, what about numbers? And so she literally Googles 8 bells and then finds out that apparently on ships, you ring a bell 8 times for
arriving at
whatever,
port or
something.
Yeah.
A signal.
And
of
they
some
start Googling important ships.
Well, because also they remember that 8 is obsessed with the ocean.
Oh, yeah, because the ocean sounds. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Good job for being super obvious, 8, so they could try and fit this together with Google.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. He's just a man with a special interest.
That's fair.
You know,
That's fair.
It's true.
and
It's true.
who is incapable of not info dumping, which like relatable.
Yeah.
And I think like he's definitely of him and 9. He's my favorite.
He's more interesting than 9 for
villain
sure.
so
Yeah.
far.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because what a little freak.
Yes.
He is just a little freak unabashedly. And I love that they set up this plan and they're like, we're going to go to the ship and get
Because
everything.
they find out that he bought a ship.
Ah.
Like 9 owns a ship, or 8 owns a ship. And so they're like, okay, it's going to be the bell on his ship. Let's go to that ship. We'll do the big distractions with dinosaur times, and then Jenna will go ring the bell.
It's
8
Leo's
times.
time to shine. He's a big
I was just going to say, very importantly, Leo got kidnapped at the museum because he can only, apparently 8 can only like mind control you if you're in human form. Okay. And so Finn was like,
he can't Leo Pleurodon out on land.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing that because he's only flippers.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
You know? Jeez.
I love the idea of just a Leo Pleurodon, like,
yes, that's what it would be.
Like,
he would be like one of those mudfish. You know those cute little mudfish?
I was thinking like a walrus, kind of, you know?
Yeah, same.
I had an image of seal running across a beach, and it was funny.
Yeah, that would be a Leo Pleurodon. Totally.
One of the greatest tragedies in romance history is officially that we didn't get a Leo book.
Yeah, I really like Leo.
Because I think he would have been the most hilarious. Like, he would be unhinged in the most bananas way. And, like, it's very clear that Nina Bangs is in love with him, right?
Yes.
Like, the way that he is described on page, like, he is the sexiest, most interesting man in the world.
Because he's got the logic and dispassion of Finn, but then he's so passionate about his fighting that like it makes him such a good fighter.
Yeah. And by so God, can this man dress?
He's the one who wears the suits, right? And always looks impeccable.
Snappy
and the rest of them are just like, I got
Yes.
some jeans and a biker, whatever. And he's the one who like always wears like GQ level, like
3-piece.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that continues.
Yeah, so he got kidnapped, and they're like, hopefully he's with that ship in the water.
Yeah, we hope
a
so.
Little Pleurodon.
Yeah.
That's
my God. And and like 8 is giddy like a kid who found the big baseball card that he's been trying to collect for a decade or like 3 decades since he was a child, because he's like, oh my God, I got the big fancy water dinosaur.
Yeah, and
he loves the
ocean.
Gets to go with my ship.
He loves
and
it.
Like,
and it's immobilized. He's immobilized him like he did the Fae next to the ship in the water.
Yeah.
So they get there, and Jenna's like, how are we going to free Leo? And then a voice over her shoulder is like, I remember, woman, remember? And it's that Fae. And he's like, I wasn't ready last time, okay? He caught me off guard with the way that I can free him. I just need to know that people are thinking about doing it, is all. So he's like, I'll free him. And then doesn't he offer to like do a distraction or something? Like he'll fight with them or something?
This is Keon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Keon. And he owes her, so he'll free Leo, but he also owes 8. And so he's ready to fuck some shit up.
He owes them in different ways.
And like, is it just a thing that apparently that Unseelie and Seelie princes, is this in lore that they're sex machines? Because
I mean, the Fae are supposed to be very attractive, but he's the level of like, if you look at him, you start getting like mad
he
horny.
just gives off so like this is the description, and the reason that this is important for context, Margaret, is we read Dark Fever recently for
Karen Marie Moon,
and
I've been going down the rest of the books,
and like apparently they're all sex machines that make you hump things in public.
I mean,
in that book,
I guess
I mean, some of them like I'm not huge on fairy lore, but like the way it's presented in this book is that like at least Keon, because he's like a royal of the Unseelie court, so he's not just a Fae, he's like one of the heirs to the throne under Queen Mab. So like he's like super hot.
He looks at them and he says, because Al's possessive right now because everyone's getting horny.
Yeah.
And he looks at them, he's like, stop what you're doing. And Keon is straight up like, I'm not doing anything. What you feel is what anyone near me always feels. I do not control it. I love this though. If I focus on one person only, he or she feels it more strongly. But beyond that, he shrugged. It's your problem to solve. And I love that he's just like, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah, it kind of is.
My other favorite thing is that later on, he looks at them and he like talks to them all. And it's clear that like in a normal circumstance, he would address one of them individually. And then he goes, it's worse if I say your name. So,
yeah.
I also love that Shen, our beautiful little snake man, looks at them and he's like, yeah, I'm feeling it too. Forget 8. I need a woman. And then he studied the Fae Prince thoughtfully. Or not.
Or not.
And
I don't
I'm
necessarily
like,
need a woman.
I want Keon and Shen's book now.
Oh. That would be so good.
It would be so. I just want Shen's book. Shen is
so
so precious
not only does he
to
like
me.
is he like a shapeshifter into a snake, but like he's such a venomous snake, but he's such a nice guy otherwise, and just kind of like the general like concierge or like makes everything run, that kind of thing at the building wherever Finn makes post.
So competent.
Yeah. Competency porn.
Big competence porn.
But yeah, later in like the series, Keon will like wear a big cloak so he can like be less distracting when he works with them. So, because if you don't see his eyes or his face, it's not as like distracting.
We get more?
Yeah. But like you get sad for him because like, again, he really can't control how humans or basically anybody reacts to him. So like he never has like a feeling of like, oh, I'm with somebody. I mean, I assume other Fae don't go gaga for him, but like if he's with any other type of
nobody's with him for him.
Exactly. Lesser being, they're either really obsessed with like getting him into bed or they still like him, but nobody likes him for him. They like him for the effect by being that powerful effect he has on them. So it's kind of isolating for him.
They like that
Poor
effect.
guy.
Meanwhile, I'd be like,
but he doesn't know if anybody.
He
kind of hates it because he doesn't know if anybody actually cares about him. Or it's just like, and then it's like everywhere he goes, people are just like ridiculous, like distracted and into him and then into each other. Yeah, and so it's no good. It makes him not really able to be social unless he's like covered like up like a monk or like a cloak or whatever for humans. Yeah, like he can't go anywhere where people don't want to like bang him and bang each
so it's
other.
A visual effect.
Yeah. If you stare right into his eyes,
if you had any kind of visual impairment, if it would
that'd
have
be interesting.
No, but it says that when
he
he says your name, though, it is an aura thing.
But if he's
Man, I have so many questions. Nina Bangs, if you want to email us, I could just sit here like. I have so many questions for you.
Okay, so now they're at the ship, and their plan is to like attack, and 8 sees them, and so he just climbs up the mast of the ship.
Well, if you have a big old ship, you're going to climb that mast. You're going to do your pirate fantasy now or never.
Yeah.
My image is him like
a spider
clinging
monkey?
to it, and he's just like hollering down. He's like, yeah, get him,
yeah,
get him, yeah.
No, don't hurt my ship.
Yeah,
no, leave it alone. I have one dream, and it's to sail this ship.
Well, hang on. I have the quote because it's so fucking funny to me. I was cackling because the whole plan is they don't want her to get hurt. And so Al is going to stay in the middle of the ship where there's less things he can mess up, and then the Raptor boys are gonna, or the Utah tour boys are gonna take her to the bell, and she's gonna ring that bell, and it's a whole thing. And then they think that a werewolf almost gets her. Al is like knocked over. It's a whole shit show, basically.
Yeah, everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
8 shouted his triumph from above them, where he still clung to one of the 2 remaining masts. You're beaten! You're all
mast,
beaten!
But, you know.
There are more of my workers left than yours. Where's your great and mighty leader, Finn? Where are your reinforcements? All I see are 2 of the 11 in human form. One stupid... Oh, yeah, because Al humaned out when he went to go cuddle up to
see if she was okay.
This lady. Oh, it was very cute.
Yeah.
All I see are 2 of the 11 in human form, 1 stupid human, and 1 raptor. Oh, and I guess you can count the big dumb monster in the parking lot. He doesn't matter, though, because I'm not going back to shore. I'll create a new mast, and then I'm sailing this ship out of here.
He just wants to sail,
He glanced around. I suppose the Fave Prince is skulking around somewhere, and I really wanted to keep the Leopleurodon. What a magnificent sea creature. But I suppose one doesn't always get what one wants in life. And then he started to climb down from his perch.
Okay, bud.
And I just like
he's a maniac.
He's doing the most.
Just like leaning off being like the fact that he's like, you're beaten. You're all
I'm clinging to this mast, though.
Wish I could have that Leo, but I guess not.
Yeah.
Well, and then she looks at Utah and she says, ring the bell. And he's like, are you sure? Aren't you supposed to? And she's like, I found the bell. You ring it.
Because he's been saying that he wants like human revenge on 8, and he can't get it. Because, he's immortal. There's no way to do it. But because he's in his human form, he rings that bell 8 times.
And he says out loud, this is for Rap.
Yeah, he does say that.
Yeah. Yep. And then 8 starts exploding into teeny tiny pixels. And then right as everything goes, he just shouts, "Free my seagull!"
I'm sorry.
Because he's had a pet seagull the whole time.
He has a pet seagull that also was very important in all of his scenes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, at least he loved his seagull.
Yeah.
And now is banished back to the cosmos for another 60, 70 million years. That's also clutch.
There we go.
Yeah. See, exactly. And we told you listeners that Finn will have these visions because he's precognitive, but then it won't actually work out the way exactly it's supposed to. Like Kelly sang instead of played a flute because she's a flautist in the first one. Jenna finds the bell, but she's not the one ringing it, but it still works. But Finn's still really iron about it must be this way, but I'm like, then it just doesn't even work out that way. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
You would think he'd start realizing his visions are kind of in flux if you're right. Like the pieces are at least kind of together. But...
Right.
This is just his really elaborate way of getting these dino boys laid after 60 million years, okay?
It's true.
Because it's always their mate is key to their vision, so...
Yeah. And then he looks at her afterwards and he says to her,
this is the
for
declaration.
A while, my human emotions were too new for me to recognize them. I understand them now. He leaned forward, touching his lips to hers, murmuring his message. I love you, Jenna Malloy. What you do with that love is up to you, but it's there for the taking.
I like the way that's
Consider it
phrased so much.
taken, Alan Dika. I love you and I want to walk into the heart of your beast. Al stepped back as though giving her room to breathe, to run away if she chose. You'll be immortal. We'll be bonded forever, however long that might be. Think about your family. Either you or Kelly will eventually have to explain things.
You gotta explain
how
that.
will they feel? And then he says, and claiming a piece of my soul can be a one-way trip to insanity. At least that's what Finn said. He seemed hesitant to let her make the journey. And she says, it's my choice. And I choose to take the chance. I love you way too much to let a hike through your past stop me. And my family only wants Kelly and me to be happy. When the time comes, they'll accept our choice. And then she does.
Well, wait, and then she's like, we don't need no ceremony. We're going to elope right in this parking lot. And so they're just like in a dark part of the parking lot, and he like gets into his
Everybody
Allosaurus
else is
form.
probably cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking
Bodies.
All the
werewolf.
gore,
Yeah.
the actual gore,
And they're like, we're getting married right here, right now.
real sneaky like. Yeah, so
Ugh.
she walks into him. She goes through the dinosaur phase. She goes through whatever Margaret's going to tell us later.
Oh, yeah.
And then reaches him, and they're together forever. Goodbye, the end. It's the best.
And then, really
And then-
quickly, though, we do have like a final scene where he
Mhm.
has like a memory of why he hates Finn.
Yeah, Finn gives it back to
Because
him.
in the end, so the very last description of it is they'd fought for days, but now his friends and family lay dead around him. No more reason to fight, to live. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them, someone was leaning over him. Rage surged through, blah, 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 blah. And the man says to him, I need your soul. Never. Life beyond this time, this place, forever. That is what I offer you tonight. And since I don't feel that you're emotionally able to make a wise choice right
I'm
now,
gonna do it anyway.
I'll make it for you.
Yeah, that's how
And
Finn
he
goes.
laughs a little bit, and the man has long silver hair, everything goes black, and all he can remember is the word enemy. And that's
Mhm.
the fucking end. And I was like, who are you, Finn?
Yeah. Why are you guys fighting? What's happening? Okay, Margaret.
Okay, so
tell
I'm gonna
us.
dish on you.
Tell
Okay.
us.
So, as you guys suspected, Finn is definitely not a dinosaur, was never a dinosaur, was nothing related to dinosaurs. He's part of the 11, but he's not like them. Okay, so I assume if the way that these cycles of birth and rebirth go, that like the dinosaurs were 65 million years ago, and then millions of years before that, all of the 11 who are actually dinosaurs, their first life is on an alien planet, and they're actually aliens, and they describe from Rapp's perspective in his book when he finally is given back the memories by Finn of what he was, that like they're tall and elongated, and they're, you know, got like the gray skin and like giant eyes. So they're kind of like
They're gray men?
kind of, but like bigger and bulkier. But yeah, basically they got those big alien eyes and stuff. And so they're
Okay.
the memories are of like on that planet. It's very advanced, like hovercrafts, blah, 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 but it's being invaded by mercenaries who are working for Zero in this timeline. And one of the mercenaries is a guy named Horatio, and he's got a daughter named Celine, and like they're all pouring into this planet. And like, so Rapp's memory of like that time is like getting his throat slit and bleeding out, and Finn coming to him and saying, I need your soul. I'll help you get revenge if you trust me. Then obviously he has memories of 65 million years or whatever, dinosaur time later. And then the next time he's displaced and that kind of thing. So they were originally an alien race that was destroyed by Zero on another planet during one of these cycles of birth and rebirth before they were dinosaurs. Now Finn and Zero and Seer are all brothers, like literally brothers. And what they are, and I don't remember if you remember in book 1, I don't even know if Battleon, the like jaguar spirit or the jaguar god,
Yeah.
appears to,
Balin.
yeah, that's it. If he comes back in book 2 to sort of just be like a presence,
He does.
but yeah, he's essentially more like a watcher or trickster. He comes by and watches and says some cryptic things and disappears. Basically, Battleon is essentially a servant for Seer and Finn and Zero, who likes to go by Frost. Finn just likes to call him Zero because he's a dick and he wants to like give him a lesser number. But
Hilarious.
I know. And so they all are the sons of Huracan, who is the Mayan god of destruction, but likes to think of himself as the god of creation because creation comes from cycles of destruction.
Yeah.
And so they get appointed every millions of years to go and, set up the wars on planets, set up the cosmic fight. And then obviously once the planet's decimated, destroyed, they just do the thing where they pick a new dominant species and life starts again. But they've done this over the solar systems, over millions upon millions
Over the
upon millions of years.
galaxies,
Yeah. And hired mercenaries to do their dirty work for them and all this stuff. But Seer,
This is their semi-millennial Warhammer 40K
Yeah, and
argument,
Finn.
like game What?
And they just do what Huracan tells them to do. But I guess at some point when the original 11 were aliens and Finn saw the destruction, he couldn't keep being on team, like, let's just keep destroying stuff to restart it. That's when he starts to become a traitor to his brother. And Seer is kind of just neutral. He's kind of like the Thale son who doesn't really give a shit. So he kind of just goes his own way after that particular battle. But Finn decides to start actively working against Huracan's designs and Zero, who's Loyal's designs. So that's when he seeds the souls into the dinosaurs. He can't, like, stop the destruction of Earth. So then he just takes the dinosaur souls, which were originally the alien souls, and put them in our, like, 10 hot guys in, like, 2011 United States for the final set of stuff. But yeah, Finn is essentially a defector from being a part of the Mayan creation death god family.
Wow.
Right? Because, like, what I didn't have that on my bingo. I figured he was some kind of deity or cosmic entity. There's nobody, you don't have that kind of power without that. But I didn't necessarily peg him as Mayan god, I guess, which makes sense because they're all fighting the 2012 apocalypse. But I definitely didn't have them as aliens. I guess that makes sense. I don't know what I thought they were before. I guess I thought they were from Atlantis. I don't know why that would make sense, because Atlantis wouldn't be older than dinosaurs, maybe. But it's like, maybe they're Atlanteans, but I didn't have they're literally originally, like, just bulkier, taller, gray men aliens. I was like, well, that's a look for your original body.
Well, I think it's so interesting because it's not even so much so that, like, we're looking at this from the human perspective of he's a Mayan god, but it's almost like it's just that this is the cosmic entity and the Mayans happen to get it right, kind of thing. And so, like, who knows what they were worshipped as or believed in as on that alien planet, or what they were even before that.
Maybe the dinosaurs had a religion.
Interesting.
No, they don't, but
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to tell you two other things, because not in great detail, but they will blow your minds. So book 3, the villain in that one, the immortal for that time, is female. I don't remember anything about her powers, but she's 7. Eventually they exile 7, as you tend to do in these things. In final book, it's revealed that basically the female love interest, Celine, has defected from working for Zero for, like, eons. And she has powers, and her power is basically conjuration, I guess. She can create any being she's ever seen, including herself. Yeah, so she can create, bug swarms from planets that don't even exist anymore, dragons, blah, 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 blah. So that's her power, but she's like, Zero's like, you're too emotional, and you have too much goodness in you. You don't want to just slaughter anybody, because she won't, like, kill a building full of kittens and children. I'm serious, in book 3. So she gets exiled, yada, yada, yada. But when she gets exiled from Zero and decides she'll just defect to Finn, maybe she can get benefits. I don't know. Like, screw you, I'm going to the other team.
I need health care. Like, I can't.
She takes her sister Meg, who's human, with her, and a kid they hang out with at Zero's who's like 12 or 13 years old. So he's like on the cusp of teenagehood, named Ace, who doesn't have powers. And, like, the book goes through a lot of links to say, like, he's just a normal person that, like, he's not from Earth, but he's from another planet, but he's human-like, and he doesn't have powers. And, like, Zero saved him from stasis, and he just, wanted to take care of a kid, which obviously Zero wouldn't do because Zero's, like, a jerk. But, like, then they spend, like, half the book being like, he doesn't have powers. He doesn't have powers. And eventually, no shit, he has powers. And he's the mole for Zero because he feels he owes Zero. But he grows to, like, Finn and the guy, so he just wants to be neutral and not kill anybody when the final battle starts. But it's revealed that Ace is actually Finn's son with 7 from the last book that Finn never knew about.
No.
That was hidden by Zero on this planet where he was put in stasis for years. And eventually Zero comes and reclaims him for his side. But yeah, so Finn has a son who's like 12, who's like as powerful in God tier as Seer, Finn, and Zero, and can, like, stop time and manipulate the future and blah, 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 blah. And he's just hidden it from everybody. It kind of makes sense he'd have to be one of them, because both Zero and Finn don't read anything off of him as, like, having powers. Like, Zero knew what he was lineage-wise, but he thought he was, like, a dud, I guess. But yeah, he's so powerful, he can shield his mind and his abilities from even his father and his uncle. So that's what happens. And then Ace eventually decides he'll join the final battle and help everybody. And, like, humanity makes it, basically. Everything makes it fine.
Whoa.
So no one, like, the planet doesn't stop on December 21st, 2012, which is great for us. But the final thing I want to tell you...
Is it?
I guess. look, they can't help what comes after. That's not their pay grade.
You're right.
You got what you wanted. So yeah, right. So the final thing is how Rap gets back is that, so in book 3, the guy who is like in hierarchy above Jude, who's literally the vampire king of all of North America, decides to side with Zero and try and betray the 11. So Finn, when Finn kills him. He doesn't directly kill him, but I think one of the 11 does kill him. So he takes that corpse of Adam, the king vampire of North America, and he has Rap's soul trapped in that vortex in Sedona, Arizona, just kind of chilling, waiting to find a new body. So he puts Rap's soul in Adam, the vampire king's body. So then when you have book 4, which is the final book, where Rap is struggling with being back, I guess alive technically, he's feeling conflicted.
But as a vampire.
Yeah, because he's all things. He's a triple identity kind of. He's human because he's developing those human emotions he was kind of starting on in the first 2 books. But he's also dinosaur because he's still got his raptor soul. Yeah. But then he's got the physical instincts and body of an ancient vampire.
A vampire?
Yes. So he's a vampire, dinosaur, human who also now has memories back eventually of his alien life when he first died.
Oh, this poor man.
So, a lot of Rap's book is struggling with his identity because he goes by Adam because he's supposed to let the vampires still think that vampire never died. So he's answering to Adam, living in Adam's apartment, leading Adam's courtly meetings every month with the other he hates it. He hates all of it.
But do the raptors know?
Everybody who's in the 11 knows, but the vampires are being built. So that way they'll still side with the 11 when the biggest battle happens. So he has to pretend to be Adam for the whole book. And he's got bloodlust, and this is the best part because Adam apparently was a vampire who also had psychic gifts and dealt with some magical leanings, I guess, because why not? Oh no. So Rap has been essentially reincarnated, given this new body as Adam, and he's got vampire powers, the basic stuff, but he can also summon demons and see the future, but just in small glimpses if he works really hard at it and stuff. And his are just flashes. They're not even as in depth as Finn's. And at some point, because Keown's still working with him, he's yeah, I think that when I watched Adam try and summon a demon, he needed to make a summoning circle. But because Rap is both got his Raptor soul to feed the magic, he doesn't even need to do that. He can just think about it and open doors to hell that almost suck Zero in. So yeah, it's crazy. So at the end, it's not not just demon, not just dinosaurs. It's Rap, the dinosaur vampire human, used to be an alien with the world's biggest identity crisis. So it's
my god,
all of these things. I swear at some point more than halfway through the book when he's well, I guess Adam could have precognition, but I've just kind of locked him away metaphorically in a cage that I see of him in my mind. I don't want to access my vampire powers and my bloodlust or whatever. So he just randomly starts getting useful visions 2/3 of the way through the final book.
Oh my god.
So yeah, if you thought the first 2 books were bonkers, the last book is beyond bonkers. So it is you thought you knew stuff, but here's aliens and a woman who could make a dragon out of her brain and all this it's just great. Not out of her brain, but by imagining it. It's just crazy. Yeah.
That is so cool. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I kept saying, well, Rap's a big part of the final book. And you're I know you don't know how, but I'm yeah, no. He just gets shoved in a vampire body, so now he's a vampire.
Incredible.
Okay.
But he can still turn into a dinosaur, so don't worry about that, because Celine, his love interest, will sometimes ride on his back when he's a raptor, and it's very erotic. But in a way you would horseback ride, but she raptor rides, and it's okay. And they do that at least 3 times. It's really funny. I'm okay, ride that vampire, or ride that dino vampire.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So she definitely pulls out
Margaret,
all the stops.
Thank you for introducing us to this series. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
You guys just got to petition her to write more, get that Shin and Hyon book.
Yes.
I would.
Get whoever else you want.
I want it. I need it.
Get Leo said Lemon.
It.
Yeah.
I need Leo's book. Because what happens? You could totally continue the series past the apocalypse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the way I will say the way she does end
dinosaurs.
it is stuff settled for now with the Mayan apocalypse prophecy, but it's not Huracan isn't already out there still being I'm really disappointed in my son, Finn. So you could have Huracan himself wants to go more direct later if you wanted to go that direction.
Totally.
So like, you can always, or there's always Chaos on Earth, the other things that I'm sure a bunch of big dinosaur shifters and one dragon dinosaur or dinosaur vampire shifter can like totally help with. I mean, I'm sure there's things they can eat.
They can handle it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, you need all kinds of threats.
They can just finesse it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
There are quite a few issues in the world right now that I think would be very much solved by
dinosaurs just eating people.
Yeah,
a marauding dinosaur.
Yeah, no, I have lots of places they can just go straight for that. So,
nom nom nom.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, this is a wild ride.
Yeah. Margaret, tell everybody about your podcast.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm an editor. I run a company called Otherlands Editing. So with my co-editor partner, Midnight Voss, and we do a podcast on like writers, issues, and topics. We're taking a hiatus a little bit because we just both finished our semesters. We'll start back up with season 2 in July, but we have about 7 or 8 episodes. And we look at just different topics of like POV. The latest episode we did was towards the end of March, early April, about looking at how you adapt across different media. And we actually looked at, to be honest, the failure of Netflix's The Electric State to explain like why it's hard to adapt like graphic novels to film or to other media, and like what do you have to realize about like the limitations of whatever you're currently writing in. So yeah.
Awesome. Yay. All right. And we'll link that in the show notes. Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Yikes. Keep being a badass. And love yourself as much as you love just these dinosaur shifters.
Unironically, Nina Banks, they have brought us so much joy. They brought me I first discovered these books in 2013. They've brought me so much joy. They're just they're really fun reads. They're really, really interesting.
Really fun.
Yeah. So thank you.
They really are. Love yourself. And you know what? Love yourself as much as Nina Banks seems to love Leo.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Bye, listener.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope y'all loved this dinosaur extravaganza. Next week, I'm going to be back with a special guest to recap a movie. BFF of the pod, Naima Simone, is going to come back to revisit the My Fault universe. If you haven't listened to it, Naima and I already recapped My Fault. And next week, we're coming back with Your Fault, the second movie in the series. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you next week.